The feeling of guilt. It may seem meaningless to talk about guilt when you are the victim, but that was exactly how I felt. Guilty. I kept asking myself what I had done to deserve such punishment, and at the same time, I believed I deserved to go through everything I had gone through. Maybe there was something wrong with me, and I should never have been born. I was born out of wedlock, so I thought I was paying for my parents' mistake. It was all my fault. Nothing else mattered. And even when talking to many other women and men who suffered abuse, the feeling is the same: guilt. We were abused in the name of authority, power, lust, or religion, but we always saw ourselves as guilty. When faced with a difficult situation, most people pass the hot potato on to someone else or look for a scapegoat to blame. Unfortunately, that is how most of us humans act. Any form of abuse is a controversial subject of enormous proportions. No matter how much effort is made to resolve, prevent, and raise awareness, the results are minimal. Since it seems to have no solution, the easiest way out is to assign blame to a scapegoat and find justification for what cannot be justified. How many times have you heard comments and questions like, "What were you doing there at that hour? Is that even proper clothing to wear? Oh, you must have provoked him somehow. Why didn't you answer your husband when he was drunk? Well, you're always talking to strangers on the street." These allegations are nothing more than a way to justify sexual abuse, moral harassment, and domestic violence. And so, the person who was abused automatically stays silent, fearing being judged all over again. She prefers to listen to her own inner voice, loaded with fear, sadness, shame, pain, and guilt. Deep down, that voice says, "I must have done something wrong to deserve this. It's better to carry this guilt in silence than to hear others accuse me again. I have no value anyway." Taking on guilt becomes a defense mechanism. If I accuse myself, it won't hurt as much when others do. But answer sincerely. What fault does a child have when abused inside her own home by someone introduced as family? I was a 13-year-old girl. My fragile body was manipulated and used by a man 25 years older than me. I was also threatened and pressured not to tell anyone, or else one of my grandparents would die from a heart attack. See the irony? A heart attack would supposedly come from my disclosure, not from the abuse I was subjected to. I felt guilty for staying silent. Worse, the more people admired him for his influence, praised his 2 college degrees, and excused the fact that he never worked, the more guilty I felt. If you would never blame that child, why then are you blaming yourself? The real problem is not you, but the abuse. It takes courage to assume guilt for something you didn't do, but let me say something even bolder. It takes greater courage to see and accept the facts as they really are. Every abusive act has a common root: the abuser's need for self-affirmation. Harassment and/or sexual abuse and pedophilia cannot be defined as extreme ways of handling sexual impulses, just as there is no justification for domestic violence or moral or power abuse. All abuse stems from the drive to impose power or authority and to subjugate someone perceived as weaker. The worst defense mechanism is taking on guilt you don't have, because it leads to self-pity. When we are at peace with our conscience, we are our greatest ally and find the strength to face the world. But when our greatest ally is the first to throw stones at us, we are left powerless. When someone criticizes or humiliates you, but you know deep inside that what they say isn't true, you reflect and then gather the strength to reject the attack and rise up. However, when you are the one looking for arguments, justifications, and emotions to destroy yourself, you cannot find the strength to fight. By clinging to a lie, you allow your mind to be dominated by your oppressor to the point of condemning yourself for an aggression you suffered. By law, violence and/or a sexual act, whether consummated or not, is considered rape if it is non-consensual, that is, if there is no agreement between both parties. So, if your partner or a family member insults or criticizes you in a vulgar manner and/or in public, intimidates you with looks and/or actions, controls what you do, who you talk to, what you watch and where you go, forbids you from seeing family and friends, takes your money and/or bank cards, forces you to ask for money or denies any financial support, makes all the decisions alone, calls you a terrible mother and threatens to hurt or take your children, forbids you from working and/or studying, acts as if violence is not against the law, says it's your fault, or denies their own violent acts, destroys your belongings or threatens to harm your pet, intimidates you with a gun, knife, or other objects, pushes you, slaps you, tries to strangle you or beats you, threatens suicide, threatens to kill you, then you are most definitely a victim of verbal abuse or domestic violence. And this is not a matter of interpretation or self-victimization. So, have the courage to admit the obvious. You cannot blame yourself for what happened. If you think you're doing yourself a favor by taking on guilt and trying to forget what happened, you are mistaken. Proof of this is that you still haven't overcome the trauma. Just as the body malfunctions when the two halves of the brain are not in sync, your emotions will malfunction if one half of you tries to rise while the other condemns you. For if our heart condemns us, God is greater than our heart and knows all things. 1 John chapter 3, verse 20. Today you will become a war heroine. You will use all your courage to forgive yourself for what you did not do. After all, what good are all our efforts, God's love, and the support of others if you cannot forgive yourself? If this message spoke to your heart, comment, "I trust in God," and share it so that others may also receive this word. May God bless you.